Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by The Plain Truth and Anthony Riley. Good to have you both.
Yay!
I was waiting for the beep beep. Good to have you. Any signs of curvature?
Nope.
I'm breaking up a lot, so I'm going to be on mute because I don't know when I'm going to be in and out. No curvature.
Good guess. What about axial rotation?
Nope.
Nope.
Distance to the sun? Anybody giving you a concise distance to the sun?
There is no distance to the sun.
Got to know the diameter, got to know the distance. We don't know.
And you also have to know that it's a physical object that you can touch, smell, see. We can't prove it's physical.
Fair enough. What about evidence of gas pressure without a container?
I'll retract my last word. I said, see, we obviously see the sun. Just in case anyone was being up. Yeah, we need to know that it's tangible. No evidence of gas pressure next to a vacuum of space. I do have a little thing that I want to talk about. Rumpus, if you're out there, could you join? And if anybody knows where Rumpus is, get a message to him that we would like to speak to him about vacuums and density, buoyancy, gravity. So if anyone knows where Rumpus is, give him a shout out, ask him to come and join us. Gonna get wrecked.
About scientific evidence of gravity. Got any of that?
There's no evidence, let alone scientific evidence. I know some people believe that there might be some evidence of it, but nobody can prove anything other than a story. And if it's not got any evidence to support it, a story is not science, it's just a story.
No evidence.
No.
What about evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
None.
I've seen pictures.
Just a story.
Pictures? What kind of pictures?
Yeah, and my science books. Hello, Eleanor.
Yeah, lovely story. Lovely pictures, lovely story.
What about evidence of the presupposition itself?
Absolutely none.
Any evidence of the R value?
No evidence of a radius. Not a three-dimensional radius. There would be evidence of a flat Earth radius because the sun does appear to travel around us in a circle. That would create an equator. It would create a radius, but it's two-dimensional. Lacks 3 dimensions. So we need to see that curve.
So no evidence of an Earth-based radius then?
Nope. No evidence at all, I'm afraid.
Just a sun's rotation. Okay. Just that apparent sun that we don't know the distance of.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much it for housekeeping. That was quick.
It's amazing what happens when you don't,
We'll
get silly answers, isn't it?
Indeed. Well, you've put a call out to Rumpus, so keep an eye on the back chat. Hopefully he'll turn up.
Okay. Nathan, you've been criticised not so much you, but the show has been criticised for not producing any evidence of a flat plane. So obviously these people don't keep up to date with the show at all.
Okay, I'll do a special. I'll run a special edition. Specifically, I'll even title it like Flat Earth Debate, Flat Earth Proof, or something of that nature. There you go. I'll make sure that happens in the very near future. Good enough? AP Mars? A bit quiet. Are you on the wrong mic? Say something again.
Hello?
Yeah, you're really quiet. I don't think you're using your proper mic, even though you're talking into it. The P Mars, according to the commenters, is losing me subscribers. Literally, I've got people in the comments going, right, if P Mars is going to be here, I'm not. And I'm like, all are welcome. P Mars is all. It's one of that category. Hey, mate, 4.
Is that better? Hello?
I'll just turn you up. Maybe it's just quiet. Hey, mate, 4, can you hear us?
Yeah, what's up?
Sky, stars, sun,
Nah.
usual stuff.
It's flat.
The lights in the sky still proof globe, make 4?
I don't know. Maybe it's flat.
Well, you were quite adamant yesterday that they did. What's changed?
I don't know. I just started ignoring the sky.
Ah, did you not look into declination?
I don't know. A little bit.
Did you realise that there's a problem with your compass the minute you consider declination?
What's supposedly pointing at my ass?
Well, what's supposed to be pointing at your ass?
South. North. Through the globe.
Well, south is meant to be underneath your bottom. It's supposed to be through the floor, right?
Right.
But declination tells you that you're not even looking south.
Oh.
So those
Okay.
lights in the sky proving globe didn't work out too well, that did it? Are you on Discord with somebody in the background?
No. I'm in Discord, but
Are you on your own right now?
yes.
Are you in
There might-
conversations with anybody else?
No, there might be someone watching me. I don't know. They don't want me to come in here.
Who are
Ah,
they? Who are
is
they?
it because you were shit with the lights proving that they were living on a globe?
Probably.
Oh. And who specifically doesn't want you to come in?
Just everyone.
Is it because they want the show to die?
Probably.
They want the show to die because they realise that we're killing people and they don't like it.
I guess so. Are you?
Yeah. Lots of problems with their model and they ignore it. Like, where's the moon when it comes to the new moon phase? Goes missing for 3 days for every soul on the planet. Nobody sees it. No explanation on their model accounts for it. Logically, anyway. I haven't even seen an explanation for it. But the moon goes missing for 3 days. I call bullshit. That can't happen on the heliocentric model. They don't like talking about it, though. Swept under the mat, so it's not an issue.
It doesn't go missing.
Yeah, it does. No one sees it for 3 days. 3.5 days, P.
You can see the new moon, though.
Not up new moon phase.
No, you
You
can't,
can.
P. No, you can't.
Goes missing for 3 days, P. And there's no explanation for it on your model.
That's not true, though.
Well, check it out. It happens every month, P. So check it out. Get us some pictures. That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, we're coming back up to a new moon, P. And if you keep on the show periodically, we'll remind you of it and we'll ask you to prove that there's a moon in your sky. And we can triangulate it. We'll get somebody stupid like Make 4 in Australia and we'll prove that he can't see the moon. And then I'll do it in England and I'll prove that I can't see the moon. And then we'll ask you where
I'll
the
do
moon
it
is because
on the
one of
East
us has got to
Coast,
be able to
too.
see it.
I just did it yesterday.
Well, yeah, the moon's out at the minute. We're not in new moon phase.
No, but yesterday it was still new moon.
Is it?
No, now it's not. Yesterday was the last of it.
Yeah, it comes back in after 3 days after the new moon. I think that you were too late. Were you not 2 or 3 days too late? Because it seems to be a very long time ago that we had the new moon. You must have gone through a hole. Let me just double check the dates.
I think the new moon's already passed.
Yeah, you should have done it on the 9th. Oh, hang on. Yesterday was the 10th. So you must have got it back then the first day of it coming back into sight.
Yeah. And, you know, I was just basically using my app, trying to locate it. And I haven't been able to sit down with my computer to edit everything. My app had the moon fully blocked out in darkness, which means that it's the new moon. And then it showed me its position in the sky, and it wasn't there. So that's what I showed yesterday on my, 2-minute video that I put up.
So are you saying that you could see the moon, but it wasn't where they told you it should be?
No, I'm saying that I couldn't see it, and I was looking where it was supposed to be. And then later on in the evening, I could see the crescent just starting. So probably about 7 o'clock at night, and it was low in the sky, about to set within an hour, probably set around 8:15. The crescent moon was just starting, so it's just now in its waxing phase. We're now in the second day, I guess. But anyway,
so the start of the lunar cycle must have been 2 days ago.
Yeah,
sure,
ninth,
right.
yeah.
It's not.
Well, that's a bit of a problem if you believe we live on a heliocentric Earth, because we shouldn't not see the moon. The only time we should not see the moon, perhaps, is at the moment where it passes or it transits the sun because of totality, or not. It doesn't transit the sun; it's on the other side. But when it passes over the sun, whether it's like on the other side of the sun, so it's like 5 degrees up or down or whatever it is, at that moment when it's like we're sat right behind it, plus or minus 5 degrees ecliptic path. That is the only moment where the moon, in theory, on their model, might not be getting any light. But for the rest of it, like an hour or two either side of it,
I agree. Yeah.
And we should see it.
Yep.
And if we can't see it, somebody else on the Earth's got a different angle to it, and they should see it.
Right.
So we should see the moon, but it's not there. So
that was my.
So the next,
that was my
sorry
point.
to interrupt. The next time to look out then is going to be around, say, 4th, 5th, 6th of November. Around
Yes,
that sort
that's
of, maybe
right.
a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later, but around that sort of time. So the early part of November.
So what we'll do when we get to the next new moon, we'll put out a challenge, a ball Earth, a heliocentric challenge. Where's the moon? For 3 days, we'll say, "Where's the moon? Can anybody see the moon?"
Oh no, we
And
just
then
have
if they
P.
do claim to see the moon, we'll want to see proof.
We'll just
Well,
say
there won't
to
be
P.
any moon.
Just say it to P. He's here right now. So P, come. Let's pick an arbitrary. Let's say the 4th of November. Get us a picture of the moon on the 4th of November.
Yeah. And we'll remind you as we get closer to it, because no one can see it.
I was really excited to try to do something this month, but we have clouds right now, and I had clouds for the past 3 days, so I had no opportunity to shoot the moon. So.
Do you not think that's a bit of an issue, P, that no one can see the moon for 3 days, 3.5 days?
I don't even believe that's true.
It is true. Look it up. Even on Wikipedia,
let's not do this again. Hold on. We've gone through this, so fine. P, prove it to yourself. Disprove it to yourself. 4th or 5th of November. Nice, easy date to remember.
Even on Wikipedia, it tells you at new moon it's not visible.
I already did it with the moon that just passed. Someone saw it in England, in the UK.
That sounds like what's the word? What's
Story?
it called? Oh.
Hearsay?
Anecdotal, yeah, hearsay. So have you got
Okay.
any evidence to support your assertion that somebody saw it in England? I'll take that as a no.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lovely story.
We can
Bit
all
like
do
gravity.
it together. Remember the 5th of November. Go out and see the moon.
How do the sun and moon float around in the sky on a flat Earth model? What force? How do they fly?
A
Are
loaded
you
question.
familiar?
Who says they fly? Nobody's made any assertions about the moon. So what are you claiming about the moon?
It flies around up in the sky.
Oh, how do you know that? Have you been there? Do you know that it's got powered something to make it fly? Do you know that it's a physical thing that needs to fly? Why are you making these assertions? What makes you think you know what the moon is?
Just something magical in the sky that flies around. I don't know.
Oh wow.
Maybe it's proof of
Sound
creation.
crazy. You sound crazy.
Maybe it's proof of creation.
Maybe not. Who knows? But have you got any evidence to back your assertion that it's just flying, as you put it? Because I haven't made that assertion.
Well, it's up very high, so I figured it was flying.
Right.
But you think it's in space, though, right?
I'm not that interested.
I don't know
in what
where it
people
is.
Figured things.
Maybe
are
it's
doing.
rolling around on train tracks on some sort of magical dome.
Right.
There you go.
Equally
There you
as
go. Why
equally
couldn't
as
you be doing
likely, equally as preposterous, but equally as
Because
likely.
it doesn't wobble.
Equally as likely and preposterous. You've got no clue what those things are, have you?
Not really.
Right. Neither have I. Most honest thing you've said to date.
Yep.
So what's your claim about them? You know, rather than asking me what some spurious claim about them flying is, which I
Hello,
think
Alan.
Hey, Alan.
Hello, everybody. I've just come in to tell Make 4 you've gone off script immediately. You're very
Fuck.
fired. You're fired.
So are you saying that Make 4 had a script today, Alan?
He's gone. He's gone. He got his gag, and it was funny. Kudos, Alan.
That was funny. So does anybody know where Rumpus is? Been summoned. We have an issue with gas pressure in a container. We need his expertise in physics. You know, that degree that he got? That he keeps telling everyone that we're all thick and stupid and he's, like, better than us. Well, I want to call him out on his nonsense. So, anybody knows where Rumpus is? Please, put up a flag, an APB, get him in. Let's see if we can get a concise answer, like a yes or a no answer out of him. That would be lovely. Without loads of nonsense where he redefines terms and makes stuff up and adds stuff to equations that weren't there in the definition. Did you see Rumpus yesterday, P?
Yeah, I was here.
Did you think his performance was satisfactory for a ball earther?
I thought that you were engaging in this mainstream media tactic of interrupting people so that no information can get out to the audience.
So when Rumpus interrupted us to remind people that he wasn't interrupting, but interrupting when he did it, you thought that we were the ones that were interrupting him?
Yeah, you didn't let him talk at all. You just kept interrupting him. So that's the same thing. I did a video about this where I show how Hannity and Combs, Fox News anchors, they have a guy on and he has a different opinion on 9/11 than them, and they just keep interrupting him and they don't let him get a sentence out. And
Yeah,
you were doing the same thing to
the problem is, P, if his opening sentence starts with a fallacy, something that is false, are we meant to allow him to continue so that he can preach his nonsense? Or do we object and stop it immediately?
No, you're supposed to let him continue, and then when he's done, then you object.
But he goes on for about 10 minutes.
Sorry,
and
Anthony,
the point
can I
is
just
agree.
address that?
Well, you didn't let him go on
interrupt.
at all. He didn't get to even hardly say a sentence.
That's right, because when you have a false premise, there's no point in listening to the rest of your false premises that are supporting.
Yeah, I agree.
Ridiculous.
Sorry, hold on a second. P. Mars, I did watch your video that you published in that regard. And what I took away from it wasn't that they were interrupting him so much as they were misrepresenting him. So he had, at some stage, just offered up an opinion on a book that someone had written about 9/11. And he made it very clear in the interview that he hadn't taken any stand. The fact that he'd liked a book doesn't mean anything. And they totally misrepresented his argument and construed it as such that he had made that opinion, which was simply a misrepresentation of his position, as opposed to them not letting him speak. Because I read your title and I was like, okay, let's watch this then, see this debating tactic. But he got several minutes uninterrupted at one stage, and so I don't see it as it not being an opportunity to speak. He did get his opportunity, and he made it clear enough for me to understand that they were misrepresenting his position based on his words. So I don't really see that was in any way the same as Rumpus saying things like, just want to point out I'm not interrupting, when he's literally... Anthony was in mid-flow.
I saw them just interrupt the guy on the Fox Hannity the Hannity and Combs show with they just ask him nonsensical questions, and when he's in the middle of explaining thing, they didn't really let him explain anything. And then at the end of the show, when he was explaining like this IQ thing, which I actually did, I did my show about the IQ yesterday, but they cut to a commercial, or they go, "Whoa, we're out of time." So I don't think. I think the purpose of the whole show is to not let any information get out to the audience, and I think you guys engage in the same tactics.
No, I don't agree. I think that if Rumpus starts off with a definition and he expresses it mathematically, and there's a difference between what he expresses mathematically and the definition, I think it would be reckless of us not to stop that, because Rumpus can't get the maths and the rhetoric wrong. He has to get the maths matching reality, and the reality didn't explain the two things that he'd added to the maths. And that's misleading the audience, and I don't think that's right. I think he should do his mathematical expressions to match the definition, not add stuff that's not part of the definition. He was deceiving people. That's naughty. I don't think that should be allowed.
So we're misleading the audience.
I don't think the Rumpus is smart enough to deceiving people. I think you and Nathan are deceiving people.
With what?
I agree.
With what?
What? Hold on.
Flat
Hold on. We're not making any assertions, though. So what's happening is Rumpus is asserting that when something is not moving, no forces at play, that there are forces at play. That's the debate. But every time we explain that we're describing neutral buoyancy, he goes to the definition of buoyancy so that he can introduce a force, so he can tie it to weight, so he can tie it to gravity. And it's a three-step process that he has to take the audience through. Now, Anthony will object, and upon objecting, hi, new guest, Laurie, how you doing? You hear us? Hello?
How you doing? Hello, I'm fine.
Hello?
Hear us? Sorry for playing Kraftwerk yesterday. Hello. I saw you give me off. Hello, I'm fine.
You need to pause your watch page. I'll just stick you on mute while you figure out how to mute your watch page. So,
and while he's doing that, just to explain, Travis, I put you on mute because while Nathan's talking, you were keyed up because you got background noise. And couldn't hear Nathan.
Yeah, I know.
So when Anthony gets to the stage that he points out that he's essentially moved the goalposts and he's talking about a definition that includes things moving so he can attribute forces to them, Anthony makes the objection very concisely. It is then completely ignored and he barrows on with the exact same intent that he had to begin with. In other words, it stops being a debate when it breaks down because Anthony says, well, no, you haven't paid attention to my objection. Then it goes into, you're interrupting me. It's like, well, no, you've just completely disregarded out of hand every objection I've made. You've let me make them, but then you've ignored them, and now you're ploughing on regardless. At which point he keeps accusing Anthony of interrupting. I'll have to stop and interject and say to the audience, he's essentially losing this point, ignoring all objections, and now playing the victim and saying he's being interrupted. He is being interrupted because he's ignored any objections, hasn't addressed them, just ploughed on with his explanation because he just needs to get that explanation out there at all costs and ignore any objections. So that's not disingenuous to interrupt at the point where he's literally ignored the objection that's been raised concisely.
I actually think it's abhorrent criminal behaviour to add stuff to an equation mathematically that did not appear in the definition because he claims it's right, regardless of what science he accepts. It was clear. The density of the egg was relative to the density of the medium in which it sat. But Rumpus added the words volume and little g for gravity, and that's not part of the definition. So you've got, on the one hand, you've got the Rumpus adding bits to it that shouldn't be there. And on the other hand, you've got my objection that's being obfuscated desperately and then playing the victim card that he's being overspoke. Well, address the objection because you've got to cite the correct maths, and Rumpus doesn't know what he's doing. So it's not right that he's allowed to express and continue his rhetoric in the absence of, an objection. Why should we listen to that? That's not what the definition states. You can't make stuff up. You've got to do what the definitions are. And this is your science, guys, not our science. We're not making it up. We're using your science.
I don't even know what you're talking about because you're interrupting Rumpus so much that I couldn't follow the conversation.
Yeah.
So Rumpus cited a mathematical expression of 4 things in the equation, but in the definition, there were only 2 things. And the 2 things that he'd added were something to do with volume and little g, gravity, but they were not in the definition. I objected on that basis. Rumpus then started rumpusing the hangout and the point got lost. Tactically, Rumpus has to do that. Everybody realizes, Event Horizon.
Hi, Event Horizon. Hi, Warren. Is it Warren? Hi, Mark. Get hello from Event Horizon. There we go. Say hello, Event Horizon.
Hello, mate. You alright?
Oh, it is Warren. Good to have you. Hey, Mark.
So I have an interesting question to ask.
Just
Who was that?
let Mark speak first. Let's make sure it is Mark.
I was on mute. Sorry, gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we hear you.
Welcome.
Loud and clear.
Anthony, could the definition possibly not included the word gravity because it's a given? It's so bloody obvious.
Well,
no, that's
hold
called
on.
second.
We will get to that. We will get to that. Larry, go ahead. You had a question.
This has to do with the definition of force. You keep saying there is no force if there is no movement.
Yeah,
Okay.
force equals mass times acceleration, right?
Let's consider the following case. You have a rope, and then you have two tractors pulling on the rope with the equal amount of, well, force. The rope is not moving, but there are two tractors pulling on it. How can you say there's no force?
There is.
Yeah,
The
but
rope is
you have a
framed.
problem,
The
though.
rope is under tension. The rope is going to get stretched. The rope will potentially break eventually. There are forces at play, most definitely. When you talk about an egg, there's no ropes attached to the egg pulling in both directions. It's a false equivalent.
There's a ribbon that's attached to the rope so that nobody trips over the rope.
Yeah, but that's the problem. There's an interaction between two tractors that we can document, demonstrate, and prove that there's two tractors there.
But what
have you
about
got to prove the gravity?
What about the ribbon that's attached to the rope, just to let people know that there's a rope there so they don't trip over it?
Is it attached to the rope itself?
A ribbon.
You've missed my point, gents.
No, you've missed the point. You've entirely missed the point. The two tractors are creating a tension between them, but there's a ribbon attached to the rope to let people see there's a rope there so they don't trip over it. And the ribbon is the egg.
Let me just tackle this, Anthony. In the egg, where are the ropes?
Yeah.
It's the tractor.
No, we're talking about an egg in neutral buoyancy, not moving. And I'd like to know what's pulling it. Where are the tractors? Where are the rope? Where's the ribbon?
Exactly.
Pressure is going upwards and there's gravity going downwards. That's the two attractions.
Prove it.
I'm not going to prove it because you
Sorry.
can't.
It's just a story.
So it's just a story then, Mark.
So's your version just a story.
No,
We haven't got
my
a version.
version's simple.
No,
We
it
can
doesn't.
explain it, and it doesn't require any other just so story.
You observe the egg, but you miss the water.
No, we're accounting for the water. What are you talking about?
No. Explain the water. What keeps the water down?
The density of the water itself.
And the density creates pressure upwards, and that's what keeps the egg up. This has got nothing. This has got nothing. This has got nothing to do with the.
No, that's not the definition, Mark.
It's the observation.
No.
I don't care about definitions. I observe it.
Oh, right. So you don't care about definitions, and you haven't got evidence to support your view, but you'll push it as truth anyway.
No.
Arwin, that. Have you been talking to Arwin?
Hey, don't bring personalities into it. You cherry pick what you want to see. You found a definition.
If you're going to say that there's an extra force there, like a tractor pulling something, and a tractor on the other side, we can see that. We can demonstrate it. We can prove it. But you're saying there's an extra force there, but you can't prove it, but demand that I accept it. No, Mark, I don't accept it.
I'm not demanding. You're the one that demands. You've kept this going for 3
because you're asserting. He asserting prove.
So you're going to create. So you're going to quote Hitchens, one of the high priests of atheism.
No, Hitchens states that he does assertions made without evidence can be dismissed without evidence.
Okay,
I'm citing the burden of proof.
Hey,
he asserts must prove.
Listen, dismiss it all then. If I'm not presenting you with evidence,
Hold on, Mark. Hold on, Mark. You've made an assertion, so we've got to the point of equilibrium, and you've made a false equivalency with ropes and tractors. We've said right.
No, I didn't. Somebody else did that.
Hold on. No rope. No tractors. And you're saying, well, no, there's a force pushing it, gravity. And then Anthony says, prove it. And you just go, well, what's your just so story? Rather than proving it.
Anthony's going by what he observes and interprets it, and I'm doing exactly the same.
I'm going by what can be proven.
I've got a question for you, Anthony. How does this connect to the shape of the Earth? You've been going on about this for 3 months now, and we're all fed up of hearing it.
That's because you keep denying that you can't prove it, but certain it's true.
Let me rephrase that. I do not draw the same conclusion as you.
Well, you argue that we have a downward acceleration force known as gravity, right?
I've never used downward acceleration. You're mixing me up with somebody else you've been talking to.
So do you therefore denounce gravity?
It depends what you mean. You know my position on gravity. Or maybe I've not made that clear. Maybe.
So what is
Hold
your...
on, Anthony. Stop.
What is your position on gravity?
Let me ask him. So yes, please can you clarify exactly what your position is on gravity, Mark?
Right, well, I deny Einsteinian gravity. The bending of space-time is just a nonsense. And I deny Newton gravity, where you can fire a cannon and it goes into orbit. The cannonball goes into orbit.
So you're going to make up your own definition like Arwin does, right?
Anthony, hold on. We're just about to get to what he does define it as. We've heard what he doesn't, so now he'll tell us hopefully what he does define it as.
What goes up, I observe, comes down. So it's the downward force. Even your helium balloon eventually comes down.
Right, but that's easily explained by the relative density and the medium that it's in.
Explain that then, please. You say easily explain. Go on.
You say what goes up must come down. So if I hold a ping pong ball underwater, it goes up. Does it come back down? Hold on, Mark. Hold on. So I hold a ping pong ball underwater, it goes up. Does it also come down?
You're talking about the ping pong ball. You've got to also explain
I'm not. I'm talking
the relationship of the water.
Water.
You mentioned water, so explain the water as well.
Well, that's the medium it's in. So it's relative to the medium. So what goes up does not apply when you're talking about a different medium. Now, if everything that you throw in this...
If you pour a pail of water out into the fresh air, it goes downwards.
What medium is the water then?
The water's not just medium, it goes in a direction.
Yeah, but what medium is that water in when you pour it out the bucket?
Well, it's obviously it's atmosphere.
Right. And how dense is the water?
Hold on, Anthony. So the water is more dense than the atmosphere that it's in.
So what keeps the atmosphere down? We can go on forever here.
Yeah, that's the point. Because at some point you keep going further and further and back, and you end up in space, right? According to you.
No. You said that. I didn't say that.
So how far do you go? How far back do you go? And when you go as far back as you can go, where do you end up?
I don't know.
Right.
But hold on, Anthony. The point is that it's relative to the medium and the thing that is in the medium, and those are the only two things that account for it. So, for example, hold on, Mark. So, for example, the egg suspended in the salt water, you would exert that there's a pressure and a downward force, gravity and an equal and opposite pressure. Well, if that's the case, when you drop a cherry tomato in and it still sinks, why would that be the case? Well, the case is obvious because it's got a greater density than the medium, so it still goes down. Equally, a ping pong ball would still go up, so it's only relative to the thing and the medium that it's in. That's it.
I think you're deliberately ignoring a third party here, and that's the downward force on both the water or the atmosphere or your cherry tomato or your ping pong ball. Everything is subjected to a downward force, and because they can't share the same space at the same time, they separate.
Right, you just said that everything is subject to a downward force. Prove it.
Because what I throw up comes down.
Right, but prove the force, not the consequence.
Sorry.
No, I don't. I don't need to prove it. I observe it.
Hold on. But you're ignoring what we've said. That's relative to the medium. So if you're in the medium of air, that might be true. If you're in the medium of water, that's not true. It's dependent on the medium.
No, you just dismissed the medium as something that's not subjected to a downward force.
Well, yeah,
could it possibly be?
No,
let me carry on, Nathan. Could it possibly be that the downward force is, or the medium is also subjected to a downward force, and therefore, when they're contained in a glass container, they're being forced into the same area to share the same space, and so they separate because they can't physically do that.
But the medium that the medium is in is also in a medium, is it not?
Yeah, and every medium, you can't just dismiss with the word medium. Everything is subjective.
I'm not dismissing, I'm explaining. The medium that we're in, the air, is also in a medium, is it not?
I'm going to give you an analogy. Now, every analogy can have a counter analogy, and I know that, and we can dissect analogies and throw all sorts of straw men and So just work with me, okay? Anthony, who's your favourite band?
Who's my favourite band?
Yeah, or the famous, favourite singer, whatever.
Probably Linkin Park.
Okay, Linkin Park. So you've been dying to see these guys, and you buy tickets for to go to a concert. It's a stand-up concert, and there's only a limited amount of people that can get into the auditorium. You arrive very early because you want to be at the front so that you can get at the barrier and you can see absolutely everything. You arrive early and it's great, you've got your position. But then half an hour later, there's a gang of other guys that are a lot stronger and bigger than you who also want to be in the same space that you're in. And so all they do is they pick you up, throw you at the back, and then you've lost your space. Now, the will of everybody at that Linkin Park concert is to get to the front. And the weaker ones can't manage that, and they get pushed to the back. Now, this is the only an analogy. Your ping pong ball, your water, or your egg, or your salt solution, the will of every single molecule is to go downwards.
It's not true.
That's not true. This is an analogy. It's not proof. It's not energy.
Not true either. So it might be an analogy, but it's not true because you said that the will of every atom wants to go down. It's not true because helium wants to go up. So how do you explain that?
Helium wants to go down. You remove the stronger forces, the bullies that want to get in the same space that the helium wants to get to. They push the helium upwards because you're not going to get a front seat or front standing space to see Linkin Park.
If there was no atmosphere, the helium balloon would go down, and then it only goes up because the atmosphere is being pulled down harder.
No, the stronger members of the audience will push you to the back because you're weaker.
Yeah, you can demonstrate that by put a helium balloon in a vac and remove all the air from a container, and the helium balloon will drop to the bottom of the container.
There's no medium. Hold on. Then we're talking about how things behave relative to the medium they're in. You're saying if you remove the
word medium again, now be more specific.
Pardon?
You've used the word medium again. Are we talking about the water or the helium or the atmosphere?
Yeah, you've just sucked the P. Mars has just sucked the atmosphere out, so we're no longer talking about how things behave in a medium. There isn't a medium for them to behave in. We've just got an empty vacuum. So everything's going to be more dense than that, isn't it?
Okay. But how does something move without a force acting upon it? There has to be a force acting upon it.
What are you talking about? There is no force in equilibrium. There's no movement, Pete.
It's observably downwards. Come on, you can see that, Nathan.
So,
no,
and
relative
you can demonstrate this. You can take like oil and water, right, are separated by buoyancy, right? And then if you put them in the vomit comet and you simulate zero gravity, they mix. They stop separating. The only reason they're separating is because of the downward force that causes buoyancy.
No, they're in free fall.
Yeah, and Pete's making an interpretation of what he observes there,
so
just
what?
like I am.
Stuff. Just dropping stuff and seeing how it behaves when it's dropped.
I'm struggling to see what your point is, Mark.
Well, ultimately, my point is that this has gone on far too long, and it doesn't tell us anything about the shape of the Earth. This is your personal, I'm right, self-importance argument that we're all fed up with.
Self-importance?
It tells you nothing.
That you guys have got
hold on, before this gets into ad hominems. Hold on, both of you. Hold on, Anthony, hold on. Mark, you're saying all particles go down, right? But if you take, as Pete describes, oil and water and you shake them up, well, one has to go down, one has to go up. So they're not all going down. Relative to each other, they're going in different directions.
Okay, listen, the oil wants to see Linkin Park at the front. But because there's water, because the water has got a stronger density or a higher density or a greater will, the oil gets pushed to the back and they can't see the concert.
Yeah, but hang on. If everything wants to go down, why is the density of the water being displaced up?
When is the density of the water displaced up?
So let's just be clear. Oil floats on water, right? So less dense than water.
Yeah.
So when you shake them all up and you have it all mixed all together in one container and then let it settle, the oil will go to the top and the water will go to the bottom.
Yeah. Why does the water go to the bottom? Don't ask me the question. Why do they all go up?
Because it's dense. Yeah, but that's the point. You're saying everything wants to go down, but we see that the oil goes up.
The water stops in the beaker because it can't go any further down, and the oil stops on top of the water because it can't go any further down. But both.
If everything wants to go down, why doesn't the oil go down?
The force of the water being pulled down pushes the oil up.
Exactly. That's so clear.
What force?
The gravitational force.
Right.
Yes.
Prove that there's a force there.
I want to know what's the connection between the shape of the Earth and your incessant.
Hang on. He-Maz has just said the force wants to pull it down, right? I've said prove
there isn't force there.
Well, hang on. This is where we go into what Rumpus had the problem with yesterday, the definition of force. A force requires an interaction, right? What's interacting with it? Gravity? Okay. Prove gravity.
An observation, what goes up comes down.
Gravity is very proven.
That's not proving gravity, and you've denounced.
Can you disprove gravity?
They don't buy that.
Can't prove it.
Hold on, let's just nip that in the bud. He who asserts has to prove P.
Yeah, Anthony made the assertion.
No,
there's no downward force. No, I didn't.
You said
there's no downward force.
P. You said it was pulled by gravity.
He said it's not. He asserted it's not.
No, he gave a description of what it does, and then you guys said no. You have a force pulling stuff down. The greater density.
Nathan,
I've already proven gravity on this panel anyway.
Oh God.
Nathan, you're biased here.
No, he's not. He's reminding people of who's got the burden of proof when an assertion is made. If you're going to assert prove it.
Anthony,
you're asserting there is no force. So how is that not an assertion? Why? How come you don't have to prove your assertion, but I have to prove mine? That doesn't seem very fair.
Prove it.
Anthony, you bring this up.
Prove there's no force.
I didn't say there was no force. I'm saying prove that there is a force.
Did you see the ISS floating by the moon with the P900?
Hold on. Who's going to define what force is?
I will. No, I'll give you an idea of what force is.
Well, let's have a definition, not an idea. Let's have the definition.
Well, we can cherry pick which definition suits us best.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Mark, go ahead. Let's define what force is.
Okay. You've locked your keys in the car.
No, that's not a definition.
No. Cite a definition. Don't invent one.
An analogy is not a definition.
I don't want an analogy.
Definition in science of force.
What's
I'm not going to give you a definition because I can be cherry pick the one that suits me, as you always do.
Yeah, but they all have that one common theme, don't they? They all have that interaction, that push or a pull, right?
Good man. Interaction is a good word for it.
Yeah. So what's the interaction?
Can I carry on with my explanation of force?
No. What's the interaction?
Well, piss off then. If you're not going to be prepared to listen to what I've got to say, I've got nothing further to say to you.
We're all being civil here. We just want to define what we're talking about. What is force?
Yeah, and if I give it if I cherry pick the one that suits me, I'll get a counter one. I'm just going to explain to you what force is. I
don't want an explanation from Mark Doxey. I want the science for what the meaning of the word force is.
I know. Well, you're not going to get it from me then.
Right,
because I am Mark Doxey.
But that's what we're talking about.
Sorry, you don't want to listen because I'm one step ahead of your sunshine.
Hold on, Mark. Why are you being so unreasonable about this? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about forces.
This is ridiculous. We don't need an explanation for something if it's exists in objective reality. That's like, can you explain an aircraft carrier for me? No, a child can figure out what an aircraft carrier is.
No, we're not talking about aircraft carriers. We're talking about a force. Now, half the panel thinks there's a force of gravity that pulls things that are greater density down. Half the panel says there doesn't need to be that in the explanation. The thing with greater density will displace anything with less density. And any movement in that equation is relative to whatever density you are and whatever density medium you are in.
Brilliant, Nathan. Let's just leave it at that. This argument tells us nothing about the shape of the Earth. And what's the title of the show? the flat Earth debate. It's a waste of time.
Well, it
And
doesn't.
Waste of time.
If
Waste
you,
of
if
time.
you haven't got gravity, then water can't stick to the outside of a ball, right? It'd all fall off.
Well, aren't you stupid?
That's the claim.
You're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
No,
because listen.
You're now claiming that it doesn't help us with the shape of the Earth. Well, it does, because if we live on a ball and water sticks to the outside edge of it, and gravity is the reason for that, then without gravity, you guys have a real big problem.
Are you serious? Do you think I believe that?
That's what the claim is. I don't care what you believe.
Yes.
I don't care what you can.
Samuel Robotham's book, Zetetic Astronomy, he says that gravity isn't real because flat earthers have the claim that the Earth is flat, and if gravity is real, then the Earth really can't be flat. So that's why they have to not believe in gravity.
Exactly.
Which is just ridiculous.
Correct, Pete. Can I just follow on that? Anthony, you've thrown out the baby with the bathwater.
Wait. You did just say not believe in. Yeah, I think flat Earth is about not believing.
Deny the sky.
Yes. A lot of flat earthers have the problem with the word belief, which is asinine.
I don't know. Look up the definition of belief. And
Yeah,
then,
you should. You should. Look
yeah,
up the
I've done it a
definition of
million
belief.
times to ridicule people.
You know what
flying moon.
Knowledge is a type of belief. Knowledge is a justified true belief.
No, it's
It
not.
is.
It's self-evident. It's self-evident.
Hang
It
on.
doesn't-
No, look up the definition of knowledge. It's a justified true belief. It's a type of belief. You can't get away from believing
Don't
things.
tell me
And
I've done it. I've done
some
this.
beliefs have evidence to support them, and some beliefs don't have
Then it's
evidence
not
to
a belief.
support them.
Then it's not a belief.
No, if you have evidence to support your belief, it's still a belief. You can't get out of having beliefs. Like, this is just.
That's bullshit.
It's not bullshit.
That's utter nonsense. You
Yeah, it
can't
is
get
bullshit.
away from.
It's not,
living
dude. I
life
just
without
Evidence.
belief.
It's not a belief. You've got evidence.
No, belief can have evidence or it cannot have evidence. Belief doesn't say that if you believe something, there's no evidence to support it. That'd be more like faith.
That's what belief is. Without any evidence to support it, you just believe it. Like,
No, that's not the definition
Yes,
of
it is.
belief.
Yes, it is.
Nah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Jesus, Lord. Okay, let's go through the definition for the utmost time of belief. For Christ's sake.
Hang on a minute. We're given sleeping while
Acceptance of a statement that is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. So it's an acceptance.
Can we bring it back to where we were?
Okay, the Wikipedia definition is better. Belief is the state of mind.
It also it also goes to a religious conviction too in the term belief. So
Here,
yeah.
look, if you go to Wikipedia, belief is a state of mind in which a person thinks something to be the case with or without there being empirical evidence to prove that something is the case with
Right.
factual certainty. So belief can include things that have empirical evidence to support them. That's still a belief. That's my point.
I don't
look
care
up-
what
hold
the
on,
definition
hold on.
of belief
Look
is.
up empirical evidence. Look up empirical.
Yeah.
Can I have a minute, please, gentlemen?
Hold on, let's just get this faith and belief thing out of the way. So, P, look up empirical.
Yeah, empirical evidence is information received by means of the senses, particularly by observation and documentation of patterns and behavior through experimentation.
So, if you've got empirical evidence for something, you don't need to have any belief in it. You have empirical evidence.
How does the moon fly again,
no.
guys? Can you tell me how the moon flies?
Belief includes things that have empirical evidence. That's still a belief. If you have empirical evidence for something, it's still a belief. It includes both
proven
things with empirical evidence and things without empirical
So the
evidence.
definition also included the word experimentation, did it not?
For empirical evidence, yes.
Right. So what's experimentation?
Like, if you have an experiment to support your belief, that means you have a justified. Your belief is more justified, but it's still a belief. It's a justified belief.
Listen, what's the you don't even know the definition. Clearly, you, like most people, don't even understand the definition of what actually truth is. Truth is not subject to man's whims, feelings, or beliefs. Okay. But that's
Knowledge.
okay.
is defined
Knowledge.
philosophy as a justified true belief. That's the definition of knowledge.
Oh, great. Wikipedia, like they're not trying to shape, they're not engaged in social engineering whatsoever now, are they?
Shout out to Michael Buck for the super chat. Much obliged. Thank you very much.
You act like belief is a bad word. Like
It
it blows my mind.
It leads
I
to
don't
nothing
understand why.
but silly beliefs.
You're thinking of faith. You should use the word faith. You're using faith instead of belief. They're different.
Same thing.
Very similar. I've got a question for Mark Doxey.
Okay, go ahead. Give me a question.
You say that everything tries to go down, right? It's always relative to down. Yeah.
Well, that's very clear, isn't it? Yeah, I've made that. What goes up comes down. Yes.
I'm going to say the opposite. I'm going to say that everything wants to go up, but it can't because of its own density.
Okay. Now you asked me for evidence. Go on. You made an assertion. You asked me a question and then you asserted something. Give me the proof.
Let's see. The sun and the star.
Hang on. No. Whoever's talking there, please. Let Anthony answer, please.
So let's just, because I'm a bit lost there with what you're asking of me. I mean, I was making sure
I
that
asked you the same question you asked me. Holy
but
crap.
I'm going to say that I think everything now appears to want to go up, but can't because of its own mass.
Will you repeat that, please?
I think that everything seeks to go up, but can't because of its own mass.
Is that an assertion?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Jolly good. And what do you observe?
We see that some things are able to go up, but most things have got a mass greater than the environment it's in, so it can't get up.
And what's your conclusion?
It must be relative to the environment it's in.
So are you saying that there's a force going upwards?
Yeah.
Okay, and so can we get bogged down now with, well, what exactly do you mean by force?
The same as whatever you mean by force going down.
You didn't even want to listen to my definition of force.
Well, it seems nonsensical, doesn't
Stop.
it, to argue that
Stop. That's perfectly reasonable, Mark. And he's asking you to define force, Anthony.
Okay, and he wouldn't accept it, or he rumpused me by insisting that I go to some sort of reference book.
You didn't give a definition. You didn't give a definition. You gave an example.
And
I don't want an example.
Hold on. No, you're both reversing the burden of proof. You're making
exactly.
Hold on. Anthony's now making the assertion. Mark's now asking for the definition of force. So it's your assertion, Anthony. You have to define it.
But there is no force, is there?
You just said there is, you idiot.
I know, I'm claiming that there is, but I accept that there's not one.
Well, okay, I'm not even going to talk to you. I wouldn't trust you as my lawyer or barrister if I needed you.
But the point is, though, Mark, I realise that there's not a force pushing things up.
But you just said there was.
I have to say that to explain why they go up.
Oh, God. Okay, listen, forget it. You're all over the place, sunshine.
I don't think you understand my point.
Hold on. Let's just get a grip. So he's making an equivalency that is diametrically opposed to yours. And you're saying, oh, well, that's outrageous. I just don't want to play anymore.
Nathan's realised what I've just done, but I don't think Mark has.
What have I missed? Tell me what I've missed.
Explain it, Nathan.
He's made the same assertion as you, but reversed the direction. And you've gone through the same steps Anthony went through with you. So you've said, well, what's the force? And when he gets to that... Hold on. When he gets to that stage where you're asking, well, what force? He just says, well, I just need there to be one for it to be up. Exactly like you're doing.
Who said there needs a force going up?
You did with down. Now he is with up.
Nathan, who was it? Oh, okay, just Mark with a laugh like that. What goes up comes down. I observe that. Even the helium balloon, which I think is the only thing that you refer to about the upward, eventually comes down. Give it a few days up in the air, and it comes down.
Mark, do you accept that if you say you think everything goes down and it's directional, if I give you the opposite argument and claim that everything goes up, I still need a force for that to go up, right? Do you accept that point?
Well, you've got. I'm not that stupid. You'd show me things going upwards.
No, answer my question.
No, I'm not going to answer your question.
Clouds, helium balloons,
you're trying to trip me up
water vapor.
Yeah, you're right. I am trying to trip you up.
Exactly.
Hold on. Mark's asked for something. There's plenty of stuff that goes up, Mark. Clouds, helium balloons.
And eventually the cloud comes down as rain, and the helium fusion eventually comes down. We all know that. Why did they eventually, after everything is accounted for, brings the stuff down again?
No, it doesn't. Eventually,
because
Mark.
there is a
No,
downward
Mark.
force.
Mark.
Wait.
Hold on. Eventually, no, Mark. Eventually, it goes up, just like Anthony asserts. Eventually, it will end. It will eventually end up as clouds again, won't it?
And it comes back down again, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it goes back up again.
Yes, because because it gets heated up, it becomes less dense, and it goes up.
So it goes
and it
up.
comes
So it
down
has
again.
So Mark, it has, as Anthony asserts, with no evidence of the force doing it, a tendency to go up. Then, doesn't it?
But the leaves, when they fall off the tree, come down. They don't go up.
Well,
into
we're
clouds,
talking
do
about
they?
water
Come on,
vapor.
You're cherry picking here.
Hold on, Mark.
You're
Don't just Mark. We're giving you a specific example of stuff that goes up. So let's not go to leaves. We're just reversing what you're saying with an example of something that has a tendency to go up, which is water vapor.
Yes, and it comes down as water again.
Yeah,
because it's
but it
still the
also
same
goes up,
H2O.
Mark. We can go round.
Okay,
Mark,
you're missing the circular argument here.
Mark, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. Eventually, in this conversation, with Anthony asserting there's a tendency for stuff to go up because he can pick a few examples of it, you will say, well, what's the force involved? And Anthony will say, I can't prove one. I just need there to be one there for my assertion to make sense.
Now, you emphasize the word force. We haven't actually got to the bottom of what force is, have we?
Excellent.
Yeah, that's because you.
Now we're on track.
Nathan, you're cherry picking. You're using. You're
Not at
using
all.
just
Not at all.
one
Not at all. This was my point earlier, Mark. Thank you for reiterating. Shall we define force then?
I'm not going to define force. I'm going to explain what I observe and the conclusions I come to.
You observe a force.
I'm not wiggling. I've always used
pulling
that. You know that's my position.
Mark,
Absolutely
Mark,
everything.
You observe a force pulling it all down. That's your assertion.
And you don't see that?
Well, let's define force, and then let's see.
An
Mark,
observation is not
Mark,
an assertion.
we heard. So let's define force and see if we see it.
No. You just said to me, what I observe, I assert. No, I don't. What I observe, I observe. An observation is not an assertion.
So you observe a force. You observe a force.
When you ask the question, why?
So you observe a force, do you, Mark, or not?
Yes, I do observe a force, yes.
Okay, so now we're back on track. Let's see how long this lasts. So what is a force? What is it you're observing?
Are we going to stick to that? I'm not going to quote Wikipedia or any other
why are you trying to
scientific
tie me
journal,
up in knots? You're making the assertion there is a force. And I'm saying, fine. Now let's define what that actually is. And then we can move on to see if we actually see that or not. It's simple.
A force is an interaction between two or more objects.
Correct. So what's the other object?
Give me the first object first. I don't understand your question.
Well, the leaf coming off the tree, for example, right? That would be one object.
A coconut falling from a tree.
Yeah, let's go with coconut.
Or a leaf falling from a tree.
Go coconut. I like it.
Coconut falling from the tree is reacting to a downward force, the gravity.
Coconut, one party. What's the other party?
Gravity.
No,
right.
We just tied this down a second ago. It's two different things. What? So there's the one thing is the coconut. What's the other thing? You're saying a force, but it's about the medium it's in, Mark.
No, it's not. It's about the gravity. The medium is subjected to the same force.
So what force?
Gravity.
So what is force, Mark?
You're dismissing the environment and just calling it medium. The medium is subjected to exactly the same force because they can't share the same space at the same time. They have to differentiate, and that's where gravity will divide them. So the lighter one is at the top and the heavier one is at the bottom. That's it.
Let me ask you a real quick question. Is gravity a medium then for you, Mark?
No, it's a force. Like magnetism is, like electricity is.
Mark, can I just ask?
Yes, go ahead.
The coconut that falls.
Yes.
How do you know that there isn't a force that was trying to push it up, but it couldn't because of the object's own mass?
Well, you've introduced that. You explain to me what exactly could be the case.
Well, you're saying that there's a force that's pulling it down, but I'm going to equally assert that there's actually a force trying to push it up, but can't because of its own mass.
Well, okay, that's an assertion.
Yeah.
I can't answer what you're asserting. It's your assertion. You're just trying to trip me up and twist things.
No, but is there a force that's trying to push it up, though?
It's giving the opposite of what you're giving, Mark, with the same standard of evidence.
The same standard. What you observe is that the coconut goes downwards, not upwards.
No,
Yeah.
I observe it before that happens.
There's no equality there, Nathan. Come on.
Mark, before that happens, hold on. Before that happens, I sit there prior to that happening for a very, very long time watching it go up. Tree grows and it gets higher and seems to be going against gravity for a long period of time prior to that happening. And that's a nice twist. That's a nice twist to your story. Up until that point, up until that point, up until that point, up until that point, Mark, if you just let me finish, it's got a tendency, like the clouds, to go up. So it's going up.
I'm not even going to answer that because you're twisting it. You're twisting the story. You said about a coconut falling downwards, and now you're talking about the tree. So no, I'm not. No, I'm not going down that road. You said about.
If I assert that there's a force that's trying to push the coconut up, right? But the coconut can't go up because its own mass, then I've got to prove that there's a force trying to push it up, right?
I'm not even going to fall for that one.
Why?
Every time a coconut lets go of the tree, it goes down.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and answer why it doesn't.
Here's a question. I've observed leaves disconnect from their branches, and they've actually gone up. Gee, now wonder why that happened.
How long do they do that for?
That's irrelative.
Hang on. I'm going to assert that you don't like my coconut force going up thing because it's really bad for your argument.
It's a stupid argument. If I start arguing...
If I assert that coconut wants to go up, but it can't because of its own mass, then I've got to show that it wants to go up, right? But for the mass.
No, you are.
But I know that it's not going to go up.
And with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do. You've probably done it already. But if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. Also, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!